और सिंपल वाइट शर्ट को बना दे स्पेशल और फैशनेबल। फॉक्स सेंट, न्यू फैशन वेयर फॉर मेन।
Good evening and welcome to Bloomberg Quint. I am Agam Akil and you're watching What You Miss. Let's get straight to the headlines. Indian equity benchmarks posted their first weekly gains this month as some investors deemed the decline in equities overdone. And the Finance Ministry will ask Punjab National Bank to compensate other lenders for the losses caused to them by the 11,400 crore Nirav Modi's fraud. That's Bloomberg exclusive. The US FDA issues Form 483 with 3 observations for Sun Pharma's Halol facility, asks them to respond to observations in 15 days. And PM Modi sends out a strong statement during the joint briefing with Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau, saying India will not tolerate any separatist movement that challenges the unity and integrity of the nation. Coming down to the markets, Indian markets posted their first weekly gains this month, and some investors deem the decline in equities overdone. Both Sensex and the Nifty ended with gains of over 1%, and Neeraj Shah is standing by to give us all the details as to what's happened in today's Jeffrey. Neeraj, over to you.
Well, actually, I'm going to be talking about what the markets did this week, and if you just look at what the markets have done this week, ended flat courtesy the move that we saw in Friday's session, which was up about 1%. The mid caps and the small caps, well, interesting moves as well. They got butchered a lot more, by the way, and which is why they've ended marginally in the red. But let's move on to the top movers and shakers this week. The Nifty Bank, of course, contributed by virtue of this big move that happened in Friday's session. The top movers and shakers, I think technology took center stage. TCS, Tech Mahindra, HCL Technologies, even Infosys participated. And it was a good move by and large for the technology stocks the whole of this week. That notwithstanding, private banks in their own small, sweet way participated. Yes, Kotak, Axis for most days was doing well. HDFC Bank came up in Friday's session, put up its hand. So private banks have had a fabulous move. The Halol inspection was over, and frankly, if you look at Sun Pharma for the week, it doesn't sound too impressive. If you look at Thursday, Friday, it was a great move. Sun Pharma Advanced Research, of course, ended up about 8% for the week gone by, and therefore, both the Sun Pharma twins had a very good closure to the week. What didn't have a good week? BPCL, Bajaj Auto. In fact, autos by and large, Bajaj, Tata Motors, a couple of other names, the pharma names like Cipla, etc., didn't have the best of weeks. Goldman has upgraded the stock of Avenue Supermarts, and it ended 5% higher in Friday's session for the week, about 11%. So not a bad week for this one too. Not a bad week for mid-cap IT either. We were talking about large-cap IT. Look at mid-cap IT. Forsos 11%, Mindtree up 14%. So pretty good going for these stocks as well. Just that the saga continued for some of the others like Vakrangi, PC Jewelers, and Gitanjali Gems, which continues to be on a lower circuit, down 33% for the week gone by.
Well, thanks for that, Neeraj. Of course, it'll be another eventful week as we move into trade on Monday on. But for now, to the latest from the Enforcement Directorate, and the investigation agency has seized Nirav Modi's bank accounts and share worth close to 44 crores. And this comes a day after it seized 9 luxury cars. And Charlene D'Souza gets us more details in this report.
The Enforcement Directorate today has seized shares worth rupees 13.86 crores which belong to Nirav Modi and his company, and has also attached bank accounts which had a sum of rupees 30 crores. Now the Enforcement Directorate has also found a huge amount of imported watches which were stacked away in boxes and also in containers. Now this comes after ED's move yesterday to attach his luxury cars, which include a Rolls-Royce and a Porsche. The Enforcement Directorate also attached shares and mutual funds which belong to Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi. Now the total sum of this, according to an ED official, is close to rupees 100 crores, or could go a little above that. The Central Bureau of Investigation also interrogated 3 PNB officials in relation to this scam.
Thanks, Charlene. Meanwhile, according to ANI, the Finance Ministry has written to 4 Indian bank branches in Hong Kong that received a letter of understandings from the Punjab National Bank. Letters were sent to SBI, Axis Bank, Allahabad Bank and Bank of India, instructing them to reconcile accounts and check for irregularities. And the Finance Ministry has also directed banks who have received LOUs from Punjab to appoint a special representative or an agency to monitor the status of all loans above 250 crores. The government may not come to Punjab National Bank's rescue. A person with direct knowledge of the matter has told Bloomberg News that the Finance Ministry will ask Punjab National Bank to compensate other lenders for the loss incurred by them after the 11,400 crore fraud broke out. Vrishti Beniwal gets us more details in this report.
PNB will have to take a hit in this case. The Finance Ministry sources are telling us it's once all the liabilities are determined, it's PNB which will have to honor all the bona fide transactions, and if investigation finds that other banks are also involved and there is a fault on their part, then the losses will have to be apportioned accordingly. But PNB will have to absorb most of the losses. Now, how does the bank do it? There are a few steps to it. One is the government has made it clear they are not going to increase recapitalization for PNB in this case, and PNB will have to sell its non-core assets, which they have already started doing, and then they'll get some money from write back of Bhushan Steel. So that is how it will get money for absorbing these losses. The Finance Ministry sources are also telling us that they have written to PNB as well as other public sector banks on ensuring their systems are foolproof, there are no loopholes, and a repeat of this doesn't happen in future. So they'll have to change their technology and report to their boards that everything is fine and there are no risks. Sources are telling us everything will be in place in next 2 weeks.
Well, thanks, Vrishti. But there seems to be no end to PNB's worries. In the addition to Nirav Modi fraud, a data breach has now been detected at the state-owned lender, and personal information of 10,000 credit and debit card holders seem to be available for sale on the dark web. And the information has been put out by a threat intelligence company. Nishant Sharma has all the details.
So according to a Bangalore and Singapore-based threat assessment and cybersecurity firm, CloudSec Info, security personal information of close to 10,000 debit and credit card account holders of Punjab National Banks were made available for sale on the dark web. Now, personal details such as customer names, expiry dates of the card, personal ID numbers, and even the CVV numbers were made available for sale for as little as $5 per card. Now, I spoke to Rahul Shashi, the Chief Technological Officer at the cybersecurity firm. He told me that the data has been made available from the last 3 months. As when they tracked the data, the first entry was made somewhere in the month of November, and the last entry or an update on the data was made available was done on January 28th. Now, there could be multiple reasons for this kind of for leak, and especially from one single bank. And a thorough investigation needs to be deployed to figure out the exact source of the leak. Meanwhile, it couldn't be certain at this point of time whether this leak has led to any kind of misuse of the data or has led to any kind of fraudulent transaction.
Moving on to the pharmaceutical sector, Sun Pharmaceuticals gets a Form 483 with 3 observations after its inspection of Halol facility in Gujarat. Darshan Mehta tells us how it will affect the company and its production in this report.
So the big audit for Sun Pharma's Halol plant is finally over. So in a statement to the Bombay Stock Exchange, Sun Pharma has said that the US FDA has completed the audit for the Halol plant and they've received a Form 483 with 3 observations. They've said that they will submit their written response to the US FDA, what they plan to do in the next 15 days, and they will communicate that to the US. So a couple of points here. First of all is the fact that we don't know what these observations are. But the positive thing that happens for Sun Pharma is that, the number of observations in the last 483 was 9. It's come down to 3. So the street will take this with a positive view. Apart from it, if you're looking at it, why is Halol important? It's the largest plant for Sun Pharma, catering to the US market outside of the US. A significant amount of drugs are awaiting approval from this plant, and 2 important products from Spark also from this plant. And as you can see, Spark also managed to rally in trade. In the overall scheme of things, it's almost 11% of the US sales and 4% of the total sales. How does this change life for Sun Pharma? Financially, it does not. Sentimentally, it's a big positive because the stock price of Sun Pharma has crashed almost to 50% from the peak, given the fact that there were issues at the Halol plant. As of now, this will not ensure that the products immediately start getting approval, but the trajectory of getting approvals will start if Sun Pharma manages to get the plant cleared. There is a high possibility that because the observations are low and if they are procedural in nature, the US FDA will have no need to re-inspect the plant again, but obviously just give an EIR and revoke the warning letter that is there on Sun Pharma. But the pricing pressure will continue on Sun Pharma, but this gives them a significant amount of visibility into the future because a lot of their products had approvals for them, but they were not getting because the US FDA was not giving any kind of approval because Halol plant was under the scanner. So as of now, given the information that we have and the details of the observation are not known, we can say that it's at least as of now in terms of the number of observation is good news for Sun Pharma.
Well, good news for Sun Pharma. But moving on, ArcelorMittal is only interested in SR Steel, said the group's chairman and CEO Lakshmi Mittal, who met the finance minister today. The metal giant, which is keen on setting up a presence in India, has emerged as one of the two bidders for SR Steel's assets.
We have put in a very important and well-planned bid for SR Steel, and we think that we can create value in this company with our experience on a global basis. And look, I have another investment in HMEL in Batinda in Punjab, and we have got very good experience. This is one of the best public-private partnership. And with this experience, we think that India is very important. We could be very successful here, and it is a great place to invest. जो हमने सुना है उसके हिसाब से कोई भी बिड रिजेक्ट नहीं हुई है। रिजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल्स आर स्टिल, वो लोग अभी भी स्टडी कर रहे हैं और हमें उनके डिसीजन का इंतजार करना चाहिए। वी हैव पुट इन आवर इंटरेस्ट ओनली इन SR Steel. We thought that SR Steel is a better fit for ArcelorMittal given our expertise.
And Reliance Jio has become the country's #3 telecom player in terms of revenue market share in 16 months after it started operations. And the latest data released by the TRAI shows that the new entrant overtook Idea Cellular, but Airtel and Vodafone continue to hold the top 2 spots. Samit Sarkar is standing by with a breakup of the data to tell us who has lost the most to Jio's aggressive customer acquisition.
TRAI came out with this adjusted gross revenue data yesterday in the evening, which helps us to calculate the revenue market share. So what is adjusted gross revenue? Adjusted gross revenue is the gross revenue adjusted for interconnect usage charges and other deductions. So according to the latest data, Reliance Jio is now not only the 3rd largest telecom service provider in India, but is just 90 basis points away from the 2nd largest player in India. So according to the data, Bharti Airtel has now a revenue market share of close to 27.96%, while Vodafone India has a market share of close to 20.65%. Idea Cellular's revenue market share stands at close to 17.3%, while that of Reliance Jio is now 19.7% as of 3rd quarter financial year 2018. Now surprisingly, in this quarter, Vodafone India and Idea Cellular saw a sequential rise in their revenue market share. Now, the sequential rise was marginal. Vodafone India's revenue market share increased from 20.5% to 20.65%, while that of Idea Cellular it increased to 17.33% from 17.26%. Now, though this is a marginal increase, it is better than the 80 basis point fall that Bharti Airtel saw in the 3rd quarter of financial year 2018. Now, Bharti Airtel's revenue market share fell from 28.77% to 27.96% in the 3rd quarter. For the smaller players, if you see, Tata Teleservices market share fell to close to 4.4% from 5.4%, while BSNL's market share came down to 3.4% from 5% in the last quarter. If you see the telecom sector as a whole, in the 3rd quarter of financial year 2018, the revenue yet again declined. It declined by 11%. Now, this is the biggest fall that the sector has seen in the last 3 quarters. And as of 3rd quarter of financial year 2018, the adjusted gross revenue for the sector stood at close to 27,391 crore rupees. rupees. Now, if you see company-wise, other than Reliance Jio, all other companies saw a sequential fall in their revenue market, in their adjusted gross revenue. Bharti Airtel's adjusted gross revenue fell the most among the top players. It fell by around 13%, while that of Vodafone India and Idea Cellular declined by 10% and 11%. On the other hand, Reliance Jio's adjusted gross revenue has increased by 27% to 5,407 crore rupees in the third quarter of financial year 2018.
And Mumbai-based Amol Yadav just got a 35,000 crore fillip from the Maharashtra government. That too based on a 6-seater aircraft he built on the rooftop and is yet to make its maiden flight. Purva Chitnis met the 41-year-old commercial pilot who's now going to spearhead what is being touted as Maharashtra's dream of building an indigenous aircraft. She started off by asking him about the memorandum of understanding he's inked with the government. Listen in.
This deal, what government expects from me is I can manufacture the airplanes. That I'll do, my first primary responsibility. My other responsibility will be all the ancillary businesses which will evolve around this, in and around this business. Those businesses will have to be supported by me. That is my responsibility. On part of government will be providing us the land to start these activities. They will also provide the basic infrastructure like electricity, water, road connectivity. Along with this, to start this business, we need some funds, and government will help us to start, initiate the initial requirement of funds. Government will help us in that.
So where is this land provided to you? And if you could give us the timeline, have you already received that land, or what is the timeline that you can expect?
The timeline to give me the land has not been mentioned. But the commencement of project will be in 2018. This is what is mentioned in the MOU. The land has been identified long back. It's been almost 2 years that land has been identified, and the process of handing over the land is going on. It's been quite some time. Now after this MOU, I expect that these things will happen faster. The land has been identified. It's 157 acres of land in Palghar district.
So you have kind of built a 6-seater plan in the
Yes.
6-seater plane in the
Yes.
past. Did you test that plane?
Yes.
Okay, the testing is complete.
The test of the airplane is all successful. Now we have to officially test fly the airplane, which will happen soon.
When will it happen?
The inspection of the airplane has been conducted by DGCA. They have suggested some small additions into the additional fuel line, additional pitot line and stuff like that. We have imported all the material required. It has reached Bombay, hasn't reached me yet. So as soon as it comes, we will install it on the airplane, and hopefully it will be ready to fly by the end of this month or maybe in the next month.
Do you also plan on building commercial airplanes in the future?
See, my dream is to achieve the regional connectivity, and whatever is required to do to achieve the regional connectivity will have to be done. So what I can do towards that is manufacture the airplanes. So we have already started working towards that. We have demonstrated our capability by making the single engine airplane. Now we are already started making 19-seater airplane, for which we have already tied up with Pratt & Whitney Canada. They have already completed the engine work. The engines are ready. It is just about to come, and 19-seater airplane will also be ready in next 4 to 6 months.
Okay, so have you received any professional training for building aircraft?
No, I really don't know who could help me. So we have started doing things on our own. We did things on our own. We did study how to make the airplane on our own, and we have failed many times, but we continued working. Past 19 years, all these things are going on. So finally, we have achieved the.
You mentioned that the 19-seater plane is underway. It's under process. So whom do you plan to kind of then sell it to? And what is the operation of this plane going to be?
So now to get that regional connectivity, we need lots and lots of airplanes. If you think about N219, which is an Indonesian 19-seater airplane, which is supported and funded by the President of Indonesia. They did their first test flight on 16th of August 2017. when they announced that 19-seater, they had 50 confirm orders. Even before the test flight, they had 200 confirm orders. So such kind of requirement is there all over the world. Now to connect all the districts in India, there are 400 districts. Everyone has, we have, I mean, not 400 districts, 400 airstrips. So to connect those, our requirement is huge. So the requirement is going to be huge. So we are not worried about the market.
Have you received all the approvals required for probably say that the plane that you're building right now?
Okay, so airplane building is a process, and you don't get all the approvals in the beginning. Okay. It is a process. So you achieve one step and you get one approval. You achieve another step and you get another approval. So there is a process which has to be followed.
So how many approvals are in place and how many are required more?
There are a lot of approvals will be required. We will have to apply for type certification, and type certification is a process. It's going to take some time by government. That is what I'm saying. It is very easy to make the airplane, and we will be able to make the airplanes faster. Now it is government's side that they should be able to give us those approvals in a faster.
So what is the timeline roughly for the 19-seater plane to?
For 19-seater airplane, for me to make it ready, it can be ready in next 4 to 6 months. And it will be the government's responsibility that they should give the approvals faster.
And have you met the international standards as well?
In India, unfortunately, we don't have our own regulations about making the airplanes. We are following American regulations, that is FAR 23, which is we are following. And we will be meeting those American standards. So our airplanes will be, as per standards, as good as the American airplanes.
In this new project that you will be working on very soon, how many aircrafts do you plan to build in the next, say, 5 years?
First prototype will be ready in next 4 to 6 months. That is step number 1. The unit which we are making, we will be making the unit which will be capable of making minimum 100 airplanes per year. Okay. So that is our target. But first year we plan to make, after prototype, we plan to make 3 airplanes and the ability to make 100 airplanes per year.
Okay. And just for a layman understanding, how much does it cost to build an aircraft, like one aircraft?
We will be able to sell the airplanes, 19-seater airplanes, within about 42 crore rupees.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau held talks on countering terrorism and boosting trade ties today. And the two leaders inked 6 pacts, including one on energy cooperation. Addressing the media, Prime Minister Modi said that it is important for India and Canada to fight terrorism together. And Modi also made it clear that India will not tolerate those who challenge its sovereignty and unity. And Modi's comments come amidst criticism of Trudeau's government's soft approach towards the Khalistan issue.
आतंकवाद और उग्रवाद भारत और कनाडा जैसे लोकतांत्रिक बहुलवादी समाजों के लिए खतरा है। इन ताकतों का मुकाबला करने के लिए हमारा साथ आना महत्वपूर्ण है। संप्रदाय का राजनीतिक उद्देश्य के लिए दुरुपयोग करने वालों और बंटवारे की खाई खोदने वालों के लिए कोई जगह नहीं होनी चाहिए। हमारे देशों की संप्रभुता, एकता और अखंडता को चुनौती देने वालों को भी बर्दाश्त नहीं किया जा सकता। आतंकवाद और उग्रवाद के विरुद्ध लड़ने के लिए प्रधानमंत्री ट्रूडो और मैं सहमत हुए हैं। कनाडा एनर्जी सुपर पावर है और हमारी बढ़ती ऊर्जा जरूरतों को पूरा कर सकता है। आज हमने अपने एनर्जी डायलॉग का विस्तार करने और हमारी ऊर्जा साझेदारी के भविष्य की रूपरेखा तैयार करने का निर्णय किया है। हमारे एटॉमिक एनर्जी सहयोग की दृढ़ता यूरेनियम की निर्बाध आपूर्ति से दिखती है। आज हम अपने सहयोग में न्यूक्लियर साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी एंड इनोवेशन जोड़ रहे हैं।
And the country's top court seems to be divided over the issue of land acquisition. Two separate Supreme Court benches led by Justice Arun Mishra and Justice A.K. Goyal have referred a land acquisition case to Chief Justice to take a call. The benches sought to post the cases before an appropriate bench today, and this comes a day after Justice Kurian Joseph voiced his concern over the February 8th judgment on land acquisition. The February 8th judgment pertains to compensation paid to farmers and landowners when the lands are acquired. And the Aam Aadmi Party today accused the Delhi police of acting like a bully by entering Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence illegally and being a puppet to central government's orders. And the remark came after a Delhi police team was sent to Kejriwal's residence to collect evidence related to the case of alleged assault on Chief Secretary Anshu Prakash by the party MLAs in a press conference. And an AAP also showed a clip where senior police officials are seen inside the residence of the Delhi Chief Minister. Meanwhile, Delhi police has claimed that their request seeking CCTV footage from the Chief Minister's residence in connection with the alleged assault case was not met, prompting them to do the needful to collect evidence.
का पूरे देश में निकलकर विरोध करेंगे। आम आदमी पार्टी ने तय किया कल पूरे देश के हर जिला मुख्यालय के ऊपर ये जो तानाशाही की कार्रवाई आज अरविंद केजरीवाल के घर पर की गई है, उनके यहां पुलिस बल भेजकर और दादागिरी दिखाने की जो एक कोशिश की गई है, इस कार्रवाई के खिलाफ कल पूरे देश के जिला मुख्यालय पर और राज्य मुख्यालय पर आम आदमी पार्टी का जबरदस्त विरोध और प्रदर्शन होगा।
आम आदमी पार्टी ने भारतीय जनता पार्टी और केंद्र सरकार पे दादागिरी और गुंडई का इल्जाम लगाया है। मुझे तो आपत्ति है जिस प्रकार की भाषा का प्रयोग अरविंद केजरीवाल जी और उनके लोग करते हैं और उनकी पार्टी करती है। मैं अरविंद केजरीवाल जी से पूछना चाहता हूं कि आखिर दादागिरी और गुंडई की परिभाषा क्या होती है? घर पे किसी को बुलाना, मुख्य सचिव को घर पे बुलाना, खुद मुख्यमंत्री के निवास स्थान पे बुलाना और अपने विधायकों द्वारा उनको लात घूंसे से मरवाना, उन पर आक्रमण करवाना, यह सदाचार है या यह दादागिरी है? इसको परिभाषित करें श्री अरविंद केजरीवाल जी।
And following firing and shelling by Pakistani troops in the Uri sector of Jammu and Kashmir, the residents of villages close to the line of control in the area have started moving to safer places. According to officials, the border residents who started fleeing this morning have been put up at makeshift camp established at schools in Uri town. And the residents have demanded the government to ensure an end to ceasefire violations for rehabilitate them safer places. The Trump administration has announced a new policy to make procedure of issuing H-1B visas very tough to those who to be employed at one or more third-party work sites. Under the new policy, a company would have to go to an extra mile to prove that its H-1B employee at a third-party work site has specific and non-qualifying speculative assignments in specialty occupation. The move that was announced yesterday is likely to hugely impact the Indian IT companies and their employees. And British Prime Minister Theresa May gathered her top ministers for an 8-hour session to get them to back her Brexit strategy. And this comes after European Commission said that May's proposed Brexit plan will not work. The plan is set to keep European Union rules in many areas, such as car making and data sharing. And in other areas, the plan proposes to break away from the European Union rules partially and or fully. May's approach has been termed the three baskets approach. In each sector gets one of the three treatments. And moving on to the latest from the Syrian crisis, several countries have called for an urgent ceasefire after government forces pounded the opposition-controlled areas in Syria. The attacks have left hundreds of people dead in recent days, and the UN Security Council heard a briefing from its humanitarian chief on the issue. Sweden and Kuwait have sought to vote on the resolution for 30-day ceasefire. But Russia put forth last-minute amendments on the proposed resolution. Russia's amendment rules out an immediate ceasefire and instead demand that all parties stop hostilities and work for de-escalation of the violence. The amendments also call for a 30-day humanitarian pause. And news coming in just now, Bloomberg News reports that SEBI is planning to revive a plan to make it mandatory for listed firms to disclose any loan defaults. Remember, SEBI had earlier planned to do it, but had withdrawn the circular. And with that, it's a wrap on this show, but there's lots more lined up who's coming through. So thanks for watching and stay tuned into Bloomberg Quint.
On 26 November 1949, the Constitution of India was adopted, recognizing liberty, equality, and fraternity as the principles of life, which cannot be separated from each other. The government of Karnataka has imbibed the ethos of the Constitution by developing programs and policies aimed at creating a socially, economically, and politically just society. Karnataka's flagship programs such as Maitri, Annabhagya, and Arivu have created an equal opportunity platform for all, irrespective of their gender, economic, or social status. Karnataka is committed to encourage education through various welfare initiatives, ensuring equal status for women and empowering minorities to uphold every individual's dignity. In the last 4 years, Karnataka